So, no joke, about 5 pages into this book, and I was just like, oh, okay, Mr. Qabbani, poetry can be good and enjoyable. Who would have thunk it? Hi everyone, Rose here, a complete and utter novice when it comes to anything to do with poetry, so just keep that in mind as I review a book of poetry. This one, let's get this into frame to be exact. Actually, hold on, funny enough, okay, I actually used to write poetry when I was back in college. No idea if it was any good, not that I could actually check it anymore because I didn't keep any of it. I think most of it was angst, so probably a good thing that I didn't keep any of it. But okay, so back to the topic at hand. Let's chat about a gentleman who actually knew what he was doing when it comes to crafting poetry. Arabian Love Poems by Nizar Qabbani, with English translations by Bassam and Clementina. Their full names will be on screen and you can kind of see it right down there. Thank you both, by the way, for translating this into English so any English speakers can enjoy these poems. Awesome. And okay, I actually don't want to hold this up the entire time, so simple question. Did I enjoy this book? Yes, I did. Now, did I understand every single one of the poems? No, I did not. 2 big reasons I think factor into this. One, as I stated at the beginning of this video, I'm a novice when it comes to poetry, so I didn't always understand some of the symbolism and the metaphors that Mr. Qabbani was dishing out, and I think that leads into my second point. I just don't know some of the context of what is being talked about in here, where Qabbani is addressing specific topics, political topics, societal happenings that were going on in Syria, where he is from, for example. All of this being said, I think it's okay because I do plan on reading this book over and over. This is not a one and done kind of thing. So I think given time, I will understand some of the pieces that I didn't the first time around. I think some of the pieces will kind of hit differently as, life goes on, as I change and evolve as a human person as well, particularly when it comes to some of the political and societal pieces that he was talking about. I can always read up on what he was talking about specifically in that so I can actually fully understand what he was trying to say. Okay, so while I may not have understood 100% of the work in this present time, it's clear to me that Mr. Qabbani is skilled with a capital S. The way he ended several of his pieces, to me, it was like the equivalent of like a mic drop. And each time that would happen, I would just have to lean back, pause, and just absorb the fact that I am feeling some big emotions. Kudos to you, Mr. Qabbani. And I definitely want to share a couple of my favorite pieces, and these couple pieces may or may not coincidentally make me strongly think like, oh, these pieces, oh, they are vibing with Joe and Nikki. I love the old guard and I love Joe and Nikki, so that's happening. But before we get into that, just a little bit about Nizar Qabbani. He is certainly known and renowned for his love poems, but he didn't just write love poems. He wrote poems dealing with politics, as I kind of already mentioned, political in nature, poems that gave voices to women, poems that just talked about important things that were happening in Syria and the Arab world as a whole. My guy, he pissed off a lot of people that were higher up, but he always stood his ground, so if I was wearing a hat, I would tip it to him. As the introduction explains, Qabbani, he wrote for the everyday person. A major reason he was and he remains so beloved, that's the word I'm looking for, so beloved, is because he made his poetry accessible to everyone. And a quote from the About page at the back of this, I think, explains that the best and very succinctly. So if I may, after I choke on my own spit, it's fine. Qabbani was a poet of great simplicity, direct, spontaneous, musical, using the language of everyday life. In line with that, Kabbani, writing for the everyday person, I've slowly been learning about the Arabic language through like a rabbit hole on YouTube. What I've been learning is that the Arabic language that is spoken in everyday life and at home, it differs a lot from what you will hear in the media, like on the news, and it definitely differs from the written language. And I find that really fascinating. And it makes me wonder if this is comparable to, say, the Thai language, which is what I am learning. According to my husband, the Thai language, it's very relaxed. It's quite simple in everyday speech. It's only when you get into things like literature in particular do things become very verbose and flowery, and according to my husband, kind of unnecessarily so. He's kind of direct. He wants people to get to the dang point. It's fine. Anywho, I think that a beautiful aspect about Kabbani's work is, I think a lot of it, in particular his love poems, I think you can read it and interpret it pretty much however you want. And what I mean by that is you can read one of his love poems as a man declaring his love to another man, as a woman declaring her love to another woman. Strong platonic love, really anything, if you follow me. Because like from what little I've learned about Qabbani from the introduction of this book is one of the biggest things that really mattered to him was love. And the fact that there shouldn't be walls or boundaries. Love should be something that is free and celebrated. And now, if you will indulge me in me sharing two of my favorite poems. The first one is on page 22. You still ask me about the day of my birth. So write down what you don't know. The day you declared your love is the day of my birth. Ooh, I love it. Okay, and the second one that I want to share is on page 27. Your love, oh you with fathomless eyes, is extreme, mystic, holy. Your love, like birth and death, is impossible to repeat. I don't think I did those poems justice. I was Novice, okay? So Qabbani, apparently he did public readings. I'm not sure how many, but at least one that I'm aware of, according to the introduction of his readings. And I just think that would have been really amazing to see and to hear in person. Not only to hear these poems from the creator, but also to hear it in Arabic. And I believe the language that it's, meant to be heard and intended to be heard and read in. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. This book it's definitely a recommendation from me. And if any of you have any recommendations of any Arab poets that happen to have their poetry translated into English, please let me know in the comments down below. And okay, yep, that is all. Thank you all so much for watching. Please take care, everyone, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.